Hello, beautiful people. It's your realtor friend Camille here in North Carolina. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, hey girl, hey. Welcome to my channel where we talk about mostly all things real estate, tips and tricks for new agents, behind the scenes, and a typical day in the life. Today, we're going to be getting into how to show a property, what you can expect from clients, and a step-by-step guide on how you can best prepare for property tours for your clients. Let's go ahead and jump right on in. Research and preparation. The first thing you want to do when you go show a property is definitely do your research. You want to log on to the multiple listing service. Nothing is worse than showing up to a property and the client's asking you questions and you have no clue what is going on. It's very embarrassing to show up to a property. You are there to be the real estate expert, the real estate professional. The client is asking you basic questions about bedrooms, square footage, how big is the yard, and you have not done your research. You have not done your homework. That is literally so embarrassing. There was one TV show, I believe it was Selling Sunset. I don't remember the exact reality TV show, but one of the girls showed up to show this $1 million property, and the client asked her, what is the taxes on this property? And she literally did not know. I don't know if she like outright lied, but I can't exactly remember, but it was like, oh my gosh, like she did not do her homework, especially for like a high profile client like that. So the first thing you want to do is go into your multiple listing service, pull up the property information. Generally, what I like to do is just look over all of the details, because sometimes there are comments under the agent remarks section, which is a section that only real estate agents can see. And a lot of times it may have pertinent information in there, such as, you know, it being an estate sale, or if the seller has limited availability for showings. Like, it's all kind of things that can be in the agent remarks section. So I like to just scan that thoroughly in detail and then take a look at the residential property disclosures, take a look at the age of the systems to see if they actually fill this out. I know in the state of North Carolina, the sellers and owners don't necessarily have to put the age of the systems, and yet most times this information is filled out so you can see, you know, when was the roof last replaced, when was the furnace, the HVAC, you know, units last replaced, and things of that nature. You can also look to see if the property is on city water or city sewer, if it's on septic. So just knowing a little bit about the property is going to be extremely helpful for you, and you're going to position yourself as a real estate expert when you're out on the property tour. So you definitely want to make sure that you are doing your research ahead of time. Also, as it relates to this, you want to look at the HOA, what's included, some of the amenities that might be included in the HOA, what the fees are, you know, is it paid on a quarterly basis, monthly, yearly, what is included, clubhouse, pool, you know, picket ball, what all comes with this, because that is going to be a question that you get from clients who are curious about why they're paying this high monthly fee for literally street lights and sidewalks. So it literally never fails. You will always get this question at some point in your real estate career. And the other thing that I do is look on Google Maps. On Google Maps, you can see a street view just to see if there are any sort of power lines by the properties. You want to look to see if there's, you know, any bodies of water near the property. Like, is it near a little pond, a river, a creek, a stream? Is it in floodplain? Are you close to any type of water treatment plants? Are you close to any landfills? All the things. Like, are you close to any railroad tracks and trains? Because a lot of people, you know, they look at those type of things when they're going to purchase a property. Like, the average person don't want to hear a train at 2 a.m. in the morning. So doing your research ahead of time prior to even showing up at the property will definitely position you as the expert. Definitely do your research prior to actually getting out there with the client and going to see the house for the first time. You can learn a lot by just looking at the Google Maps online, doing a street view, seeing the surrounding neighborhood. And then also the last thing that I really like to take notice to is if the property is on like a busy street, because a lot of times you can also see that on Google Maps. Or is it in a subdivision and neighborhood? Does it have similar houses around, or is it just like this brand new construction home that they have put up around a bunch of old houses? So you can kind of get a feel for the area looking at Google Maps without having stepped foot in the neighborhood, and that way you just know what to expect kind of going to that property versus being oblivious. You can also see a lot of times the terrain. You can see if it's going to be a big yard. Is it not going to be a big yard? Like, is there anything quirky about the house? Is it a steep driveway, or is it like slope down a hill? So do your research ahead of time. Prep is so important, because you're going to go into that showing so much more confident doing your homework prior to. Contact the listing agent. Next, after you have done all of your property research, you definitely want to make contact with the listing agent. It could be a simple text, it could be a phone call, because if you're scheduling showing 24 to 48 hours in advance, a lot of times the listing agent will have other details about the property, about the seller that may not be on the multiple listing service. And so sometimes it's just good to make contact with the listing agent. I can't tell you the amount of times that I have personally scheduled a showing for a client, and before we can even get to the property, the home is already under contract because they have received an offer. So I'm saying this because if you reach out to the listing agent, sometimes they may be able to tell you if there's already an offer on the table, you know, what's important to the seller. Say, for example, your client really likes that property. You can already know, hey, the seller is looking for a quick move. They're already under contract on a home up in Texas. You can give a little bit more insight, because a lot of times the clients will ask if they really, really like the property, like, will the seller take this for the house? And then they'll also ask, if there's any other offers on the property. A lot of times too, from the listing agent, you can find out if there's been previous showings, just any special notes, special conditions, anything, literally anything. I would just pick up the phone. Hey, I have a showing scheduled at your listing at 123 Main Street. We're so excited. Is there any other details, outside of what's provided on the MLS that you can share? Perfect. Do you guys have any offers at this time? Awesome. Well, I look forward to, giving you feedback after. My clients are super excited. Thank you so much for taking the time. Quick, bam, boom, bam, and you're done. Definitely reach out to the listing agent to get the 411. Prepare materials. The next thing you want to do is prepare your materials. What I generally like to do is print out 2 copies of the MLS sheet, and I don't print out all the pictures and everything, just the actual text copy, the details of the property, the home, description, all of the things. You want to print out 2 copies, one for yourself and then one for your client. And then on the copy for myself, I generally will make additional notes, because in my MLS, the property taxes are not listed on that sheet. So I will just I will generally make a few notes on my copy for taxes, when did the owner occupy the property? Because the residential property disclosures for the systems are also a separate document, I will just jot down some quick notes, such as what age the roof is, what age is the HVAC. I'll put a little space for the water heater so I can remember to look at that when I go into the property to see what year that is. So I'll make some quick notes about anything special that needs to be taken note of that I might get asked about on my copy. And then the other copy you will provide to your client at the showing. If you have a few showings lined up, then you'll print out all the copies and provide them a list of 4 homes. The next thing you want to do is make sure all of your technology is working. For my area in North Carolina and South Carolina, we have the MLS app that you can download on your phone. So I'm sure in your area you have something similar. This is in case there is something that you forget. You can quickly pull up the MLS listing on your phone, and it's not a huge inconvenience to log onto a website and put in your credentials to get the property information. You want to make sure that your Supra app is also working. Also remember your passcode. When I first started, I could not remember my passcode for the life of me. So write down your password somewhere safe, wherever that may be, in your notes, whatever. Remember your passcode to access your Supra, which is the electronic lock boxes that may be available in your area. Make sure that technology is working, logging in. Sometimes they have some glitches in the system, and nothing is worse than getting to the property and having trouble with your Supra and you're just all standing outside looking cray. The other thing you want to make sure is working is your showing time. Make sure that you are logged in. Showing time is the app where you can see all of your upcoming showings for your clients that you have scheduled for that day, that week. And yeah, just make sure all your technology is working. When I used to work in Asheville, some of the areas that I would go to would be super remote. So I would lose service while driving sometimes, and I would have to follow the map. Nowadays, you can download offline maps in case you are in an area where you can get to some pretty sketchy spots where 5G may not be available, things like that. So just make sure, you're prepared. All of your technology is working. Recently, I've gotten into a habit of on my MLS sheets, also writing down the lockbox information, if it's a combo lockbox, if it's a Supra lockbox. So that way, if your technology dies or whatever the case may be, or if you're having trouble pulling up your app, you can already have it written down on each of your MLS sheets, not the client copies, but your copy, because they can't have access to, the seller's home and what their codes are to get into the property. So yeah, make sure the tech is working. now that you have done all of your prep work, it's the day of the showing, yay, you're about to go out, show your client the home, woohoo, so much fun, right? But on this day, you want to make sure that you are professionally dressed or, business casual. Don't be coming in there looking like a slump, dress to impress. Be your best impression of yourself, because you are technically a walking billboard of your business and your brand. You also want to show up a few minutes early. A lot of times in my area, you can't show up too early. And technically speaking, you really aren't allowed to access the property before your scheduled time, or you can get fined. So definitely make sure that you are only accessing the property during your scheduled time. However, with that being said, if you have a showing scheduled for 9 a.m. that morning, then you may book the showing for 8:50 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., like a 30-minute time slot for your client and a 10-minute buffer for you to actually open the house and do all the things. So now that you've arrived early, the first thing you're going to want to do is go inside of the property, turn on all the lights, make sure everything is presented as best as it can without touching any of the seller's belongings. Just make it, nice, open, and inviting. The next thing that you're going to want to do is take a look around the property. That way, you are familiar with the property and where everything is, and there's no surprises as clients are walking through. I will generally scan, kitchen, bathrooms, bedrooms, all the things. But then more than that, I will look for possible defects that I see with the property, just to kind of keep that in the back of my head and let my client know about it when they arrive. And then the third thing that you're going to want to do is look at where all of the systems are located. So a lot of times, you'll want to go outside to see if the HVAC units are on the back of the house. Is it on the right side of the house or the left side of the house? Is it 2 HVAC systems or is it 1? Where is the furnace located? Where is the water heater located? A lot of times the water heater location will be in the garage. However, I have seen them in closets. I've seen them in the laundry room. I've also seen them in the attic. So you want to go ahead and pinpoint where all your systems are. If the home is not on a slab foundation, if it's on a crawl space, you also want to walk around the property, see where the access point is to the crawl space. Some homes are weird, y'all. Some homes are so weird. People will build like a back deck from like their back door, and then the crawl space will be located under the deck, and you don't really have a way to easily get to it. But it's good to know where it is in case your clients are savvy buyers and want to take a peek into the crawl space. And then as an agent, you should also be taking a peek into the crawl space to check for smells of mold, fungal growth, termite damage, anything weird with like the piers, anything that just does not look right. You just want to take a look down there, because you want to eliminate as many surprises as possible if your client actually ends up going under contract on that home. So that is what you're going to do when you actually arrive to the property prior to your clients. Also, if you get there early enough, the other thing you're going to want to do is, before you even go to the house, is drive around the neighborhood. If it has an HOA, it's really beneficial if you can already know where the pool, the playground, the clubhouse, all of the things are, so that if you have time after your showing, you all can just like drive by that area. Especially if the amenities are important to your client, it's good to already know where that is within the community. And then in your call with the listing agent, that's also another question that you can ask is, where that is located, like what street, and then again, write it down as a note on your MLS sheet, so that when it's time, you already are prepped. Because I had a situation the other day where I did not prep where the community house was, the pool, and all of these things, and we were literally like riding around the neighborhood trying to figure it out, and we could have already been on to our next showing had I just did a little bit more homework on where those things were prior to. Awesome. We're getting closer. So your clients have officially arrived. They just pulled up in the driveway. So you definitely want to either be standing outside waiting for them, or right at the door, and welcome them in, greet them. Hopefully y'all have met before at the buyer's consultation. And then just let them know just a few, hey, this is a 4-bed, 2-bath, price right at, feel free to walk around. Let me know if you have any questions. And then as they're walking around through the different rooms, I'd be kind of in close proximity. I mean, I wouldn't be on their neck or their heels, like literally like down at their heels, but I will be generally in close proximity so that you can hear the conversations that are being had, especially if it's a family or a couple. That way you can kind of hear the feedback as they're walking through the rooms. A lot of times they'll be like, oh, I love this kitchen. I love this counter space. Oh yes, I love this, walk-in pantry. So it's good to be in close proximity versus just standing in the kitchen the entire time. And then say, for example, your clients go upstairs to look at the bedrooms and they start having a conversation about how the bedrooms are small and how they don't like one bedroom bedroom is like so close to the other bedrooms. Like you can hear those conversations more so if you're right there with them. If you're standing in the kitchen the whole entire time and they have walked clean around the house, they went upstairs, especially if it's a big house, they went outside, you have had a good chance to miss some very important conversations that they may have been having amongst each other. So for that reason, I always try to stay like in close proximity, and also to be able to point out things that they have told me was important to them in the buyer's consult. So in the buyer's consult, if they told me that they really like, you know, spacious walk-in closets, when we get up to the bedrooms, I'm like, yes, and here's your spacious walk-in closet. Is this big enough? You know, what do you think about this closet space? Is this what you were looking for? Like, I'm having dialogue about the things that they told me was important. When you get outside, if they told you that they want a fenced-in backyard, I'm asking them about the backyard space. Like, can you see, you know, family gatherings out here? What are your thoughts? Like, I'm trying to get their insight all the way through the showing. And then also by being in close proximity, you are able to point out things that you have already seen or taken notice to. So if you've walked through the property already once, you're like, oh yeah, and by the way, there's a stain on the ceiling, you know, this could be potential for water leak, or perhaps, you know, something happened here. This is something that we can ask the seller about. When they go into the garage, you know, you can demonstrate your expertise by saying, hey, by the way, you have a 2019 water heater in this garage, and keep it moving. So that is why I personally like being in close proximity to my clients, and it gives me a chance to not only interact with them about the home, but just to have like, you know, casual conversations, learning more about them every step of the way, so that when we get to the closing table, we're more like friends versus just it being super transactional. So now that we are done with showing, okay, your clients have toured the home, they like the home, maybe they're ready to submit an offer. Okay, I see you. You out here showing houses and submitting offers with your clients. Awesome. So they may be ready to submit an offer, but before that, you definitely want to get their feedback. What were their likes? What were their dislikes? Maybe they didn't like the parking, but they love the neighborhood. So that would be very vital for you, because in the case that you come across another home in that same neighborhood with a different, you know, parking setup, it could be their house. So you definitely want to get their insight, so you can also tailor their home search to be more appropriate of what they're looking for. So I always like to get feedback. Always want to see, you know, can you see yourself living here? What are your dislikes? What would make this home a 10? And you can go from there. So you've done your showing, you've gotten your feedback, and now if there is any sort of community, you know, say you're working with a senior and there's a 55 plus active community that you just toured, you want to take them over to the clubhouse. Maybe it's open, and because you did your homework prior to, you know that there might be a sales representative on site to actually give you and your clients a tour of everything. So they're already expecting you. You know, you can tour the facilities, the amenities. They possibly have, you know, a kitchen and a place you can rent out. And so now this place that they already like the house, now you done stop by the community center and they have told you about all the different events that they have for their residents that live in a community. Like, your client is going to be ready to move in. Girls, they are going to be ready to submit an offer. So that's why it's so important to do your homework, do your research beforehand, to know what's included, know about the systems, because to be quite honest, a lot of clients ask the same questions, and if you can already prepare yourself, it really just demonstrates you to be a professional, and it makes the client experience really smooth. All right, y'all, so here's the section where we're going to talk about some common questions. I am pretty sure that within my real estate career, I have showed over 1,000 properties. Not even kidding. I know that in this last year alone, I've shown over 350 properties. So that was just 1 year. So at this point, I'm pretty sure like I'm like 1,000 plus at this point. So yeah, so a couple of other questions that you may get when you're out on showings is really about like the HOA rules and what may be allowed. So within your multiple listing service, oftentimes, if the listing agent isn't super lazy or they've done their due diligence, they will attach a copy of the CCRs, the rules for the HOA. And so some other common questions that you may get when you're out with clients is if they can have a pool in the backyard. Sometimes that's like, you know, a question that they have. Everybody kind of, I feel like a lot of people desire to have a pool in the backyard. If it's a condo that you're touring and people have pets, like more so like what's considered more so aggressive breeds or big dogs, some people may ask, you know, are pets allowed? And sometimes with condo associations, there may be a limit of 2, or they may not even allow aggressive breeds, or you may have to actually request for your dog to be allowed. So quick fun fact. And then other common questions that you'll get is about the fencing. If you go into a community, you don't see any fences at all, that may be a telltale sign that fences aren't allowed in the community. Or if you only see one type of fence, sometimes with a lot of HOAs, like chain fences aren't allowed. Other things that you may get is like if you're in an area where you have access to lakes and things like that, people may have boats and RVs and all the things, and they will want to know, can they park their RV on the property? What is the guest parking like? Especially again, if you're in an HOA community, these are going to be questions that you may get from your clients, like where do guest park? Is there visitor parking? Things like that. And then if you're working with an investor, a lot of times they'll ask, are rentals allowed? Again, if it's an HOA community. So a lot of HOA specific questions from clients that may come about when you're out showing properties. If you're dealing with an investor and they're looking to Airbnb a property or short-term rentals, with a lot of communities, sometimes they only have it to where you can rent out your home for no shorter than 12 months. So no shorter than a year. You have other communities who have like a 6-month minimum. So if it's an investor that's looking to do like an Airbnb style, that's something that you may want to just go ahead within your research prior to showing, is go ahead and look up. Because if you know that they're an investor and they're looking to Airbnb the property, and then you look up in your property research prior to going out that there are no short-term rentals allowed, or maybe they've reached their rental capacity, really there's no reason to even show this property because it doesn't align with the goals of the investor that you're working with. So these are some other common questions that you may get when you're out on property tours with your clients, and just something that I want you to be able to take note of and be aware of. The last bit of showing tips I have is just like some general tips, which is setting the proper expectations. Sometimes we have clients who have kids, and sometimes the clients themselves will want to use the seller's bathroom, but honestly, it's very tacky. And especially if they have to do the number 2, that is just so gross and so nasty. Like, can you imagine somebody coming in your house to look at your property and they go and do the number 2 in your bathroom? Like, ew. Like, go to a public restroom. Like, stop your clients at a public facility before going in the homeowner's home to go use the bathroom. And then if they have kids, I've seen it all, y'all. I've seen people want to change their kids' diapers inside of the seller's house, but if at all possible, like, please know, like, I have kids of my own, so I get it, but like, try to change them in the car, in the back seat, something, but not the seller's house, because that's just like a hot mess. Like, it's just so inappropriate. I feel like I have literally been at one house I showed like maybe a year and a half ago, and it was showings that was happening simultaneously. And one of the groups that came in there, they had like 4 or 5 kids, and they were with their real estate agent while their kids was like roaming around the house. And honestly, not even roaming, but like running outside in the backyard, playing on the play equipment. One of the kids was like jumping on the bed. I was like, oh my gosh, like, you cannot be serious right now. And their kids was like literally just going wild. And that's just really inappropriate. Like, just because there's playground equipment doesn't mean that your kid needs to be on it, that their kids needs to be on that playground equipment. Because what if, you know, the swing had a faulty swing and your kid got up there and then it looked like it was stable and then it just came crashing down? Like, there's just so many reasons that you want to keep control of your kids. And sometimes when you go into houses, like, the kids, the sellers will have like a playroom with all of their kids' toys. And then if you're showing clients who have kids, sometimes they will want to play with those toys. So just setting the proper expectations, letting them know like, hey, hands off, no bathrooms, things like that. And then also letting them know about the time that you have allotted for the showing is a really big one, because some clients will want to go over the time you have allotted. Like, say for example, you schedule a 30-minute home tour. Some clients will try to take 45 minutes to an hour. When I was new, I've been there, like, one client literally tried to measure every single room and didn't even end up purchasing the home. Like, it was a complete waste of time to be doing all of that. So just kind of reminding them of the time that we have allotted, because at the end of the day, some of these homes are owner occupied, and people are work from home. It's become very much so more popular. And so some people may be just literally leaving their space, going to walk their dog, and then returning right back to their property. So when you start to go over time, that is putting the sellers in a bunch, and we just don't want to be more of an inconvenience than we already are. So just be respectful of that, letting your clients know, you know, the different situations. If it's raining outside or snow outside, remembering to tell your clients that you may have to take your shoes off, or, you know, having booties available for your clients. What else can I think of? Yeah, because like the other day it was snowing, y'all, and I myself, I was gonna take my shoes off like right at the entrance, and I stepped foot and I didn't notice that the seller had like a little welcome rug and it was white and my shoes were mad dirty, and I'm like, oh my god, like, but I had my clients take their shoes off like outside, but I felt horrible because like I didn't mess up the white rug. So yeah, just setting those expectations goes a long way when being respectful of the properties. And then just finally, not having your clients do a super invasive like look of the property. Like sometimes the clients will try to flush toilets, test the dishwasher, like test the stove, but honestly speaking, those are things that you should be doing when your client is under contract and not necessarily like at the property, because if something goes wrong, it's back to us as real estate agents and our clients who are with us. So if we mess up anything trying to do an inspection, like a quick little check on something, then a lot of times that's going to be up to us to fix. So anyways, yeah, that is just like the last bit of bonus tips that I had to share for showing properties. If you found this video to be helpful for you in your real estate career as you're getting started and showing properties, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe and click the like button. I would love to see you guys here within the community within the next couple of videos. Like I said, I mostly focus on all things real estate, behind the scenes, tips and day in the life as a real estate agent. And yeah, so I love to see you back. Again, don't forget to subscribe and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.